Are you sure we're live?
It just went live. Okay. We're a couple minutes early.
Yeah, better early than late. We'll give time because I don't see myself.
Because we're not on. Well, let's see. There's our channel. And there we are. Hey, hey.
Is it just us?
It's just us right now. So you're good. So,
I'm talking to myself in that song.
Is it I'm talking to myself?
I can't remember.
I'm not sure. Let me create a post or go back to our other post. So,
Still got 5 minutes.
okay, we
Maybe
got 5
4.
minutes. What's that?
No,
God is answering prayers this morning. Many
I'm sorry.
prayers.
I'm gonna have to skip the live because I'm got sales going on.
Yeah. Oh, wrong. Well, I meant to post the link to the live, and I just posted that passage of scripture that I read to you this morning. I erased it, went back. I may share it during the live. We'll see. Okay, where am
I have
By the
no
way,
idea
I
what
can
she's
take-
doing.
I? Yeah,
Does she know what she's doing?
only a little bit. Let's see. Let's try one more time.
Not sure you've recovered from Little Man last week. You got potentially another one happening.
Got another
tomorrow.
round coming tomorrow. So.
Does that post on YouTube?
Mm-hmm. I created that post this morning to announce it. So I went back and added the link to that post and added the link to the live in
We
the.
need to figure out how to add music. What's the thing that Kaylee used to say? Play us in.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's a Kaylee term, sure. So, well,
We still have 2 minutes.
we have 2 minutes. Okay.
And since we're the only one watching ourselves.
Yeah. Then I can shave that off after the fact.
In theory.
We believe. Mm-hmm. So, 2 minutes. And a quiet household.
Well, so you had to jinx it.
Oh, I didn't want to jinx it. Okay, sorry.
People don't need to know, but the madness when you have an animal.
They got plenty of madness of their own, I'm sure.
When you have, look at the birdie.
Uh-huh. That's funny because I'm hearing that through the mic.
The bird.
The bird. Mm-hmm.
Still one person
Nope. Got somebody joining us.
right now.
Yeah.
Alrighty. It's almost time.
We're not normally, or I'm not normally, on never early, but I'm rarely on time, so unless he's with me.
Mm-hmm.
So today we'll be right on time.
So we're gonna figure out how to play us in going future, but for now. This is the only one I can remember to do. The other ones I still haven't.
Well, the other ones just don't really fit. So welcome, everybody,
Yeah, successful.
all y'all one or two, but
Mhm.
hopefully in the playback there will be more joining us. If you are new here, you've not met us, I'm Hope, and this is
I'm the old man.
the old man, Michael. And we are currently full-time eBay resellers. We have been at this for almost 1 year.
This time next week.
Yeah, Wednesday of next week is our eBay anniversary.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
to celebrate next week, we're going to do the same thing we did today.
What's that?
That we do every day.
It's list items and wait for Cha-Chings. But
Yeah, we're having a good day so
yeah,
far.
we are having a good day. So anyway, on this channel, obviously we're live today, but we make videos on just sharing our journey. We are far from experts, but our goal is to build a simple business that supports a simple lifestyle. And that's that's a constant challenge, isn't it?
We're probably going to be eternal rookies. But, you know, there's something about not being a professional at it, but
'Cause
being an amateur.
An amateur, because an amateur does it for the love.
Amateur comes from the word amour.
Amour?
Yeah.
Like the French word amour? Is that
Yeah.
true?
Yeah,
Okay, that makes sense.
I think.
Yeah, I do love it. I mean, it's work, but I don't dread getting up on Monday morning, or any morning, actually. Remember Sunday evening sickness?
Yeah, that used to be really bad for me. There wasn't much of a break, much of a downtime. I mean, there was a period of time when I was working 7 days a week, so I had the next morning sickness every night. It just never went away. But
It was especially bad on Sunday night,
yeah,
though,
Sunday night was really
because you'd gotten a taste of a little bit of reprieve
very
from
little,
the stress.
but something. And
Yeah.
so it's nice not to dread Mondays. Often we have to remind ourselves to turn it off and quit doing.
There's always, I mean, it's never ending. It's like being a parent, never ending. There's always 10 more tasks that need to be done, and not ever do we feel like enough gets done. But we are learning to try to hold things with an open palm and say, okay, God, you got this. You know what we can do. You know what we can't do. And we have no idea what you can do. So just this morning we were talking about the Israelites and how they just failed to follow what God told them to do. And it's easy for us to look back and go, gosh, how could they be so, crazy and ignorant or whatever? And we do exactly the same thing. We try to build our own calves and golden calves and or worship our own little Baals. So we don't want eBay to become that. It's just a means for God to provide the income that we need.
Because I was reading the story this morning about related to the quail and the manna, and God told them only get what you need for the day, and that was a challenge to me.
Oh, that was
because,
convicting.
when I go sourcing, I'm thinking, man, I'm gonna get every single pair that I can get, and that's not a good plan and strategy. We have been adjusting ourselves so that we say this is what we need this week, and out of the total list of what we need this week, we already have this, and this. So this is what we need to find. So we're going to try to do it better and better and only get
The best of what we can find in that selection.
Yeah, because we put a bunch of stuff back on Monday.
Yeah, I
think you already
did.
told that story.
I did tell the story in the video a couple days ago, but it was really frustrating because we went to our two favorite stores, and we just were not finding
favorite for right now because our two favorite stores, this
Prior
time
to-
last year or 6 months ago.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
evolves.
it's constantly changing, and boy, we found that out for sure because, I guess it was 2 weeks ago, someone else had mentioned this other thrift store that you had been to it once.
Yeah, I was not impressed.
It was not impressive, and so when someone else mentioned it in one of the stores that we were in, I kind of turned my nose up at it. It's like, I don't know. But the next week we decided, well, let's go give it a try, and we were kind of blown away. And it was a cool it's a cool concept because it's a good store, but they're not.
No. It
What?
was- If y'all could have seen off camera
Oh,
the jacket that's getting prepared for a
Oh.
listing that a cat was hanging from.
oh, nice. Okay, but anyway, the store that we were in, this new to us thrift store, is completely disorganized.
That's a wreck.
And while that drives him crazy, for me, it's kind of like an Easter egg hunt. Like nobody can go in and beat you to things because nobody has any idea where it is. So you just kind of have to go through everything in the store, and you never know what you're going to find. So
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate if you're just the local person that just came there to get a pair of pants or a shirt for yourself, because
and you know the one thing that you're
yeah,
looking
you're
for.
gonna have a hard time finding your size because nothing is in any kind of organ. It's not even on racks the same way.
No, things are flopped over, hanging.
And where some people
Yeah.
are like super organized, where the tag hangs off the side, and you literally can just do this. These you have to take off the hanger.
That's
So-
probably why they're hanging on there so crazy.
And then you have to look in there and find the tag inside the pant.
And it's in a different place in every single pair of pants. Sometimes it's stuck on the pocket, sometimes on the label, on the inside.
never convenient.
No.
Which for us is great because we're going to go through everything, every single one of the pairs of pants, just start on one end of the row and work all the way on down. But I felt bad for a couple guys. I almost just wanted to ask them, what size y'all looking for? I mean, I probably got a pair over here. that,
Right, in my cart.
But it works great for us because no one else is going to go to take the time to dig through every single pair, take each pair off, find what size they are, what brand they are, what price they are. But we made the mistake of worrying about, if I don't get XYZ at this first store. So we bought too much there.
And
Yeah.
not the best.
And then we went to the second store and we were like, oh, well, we've got to have enough for the week. So we bought some more stuff that we probably should have passed on the second store. Then we got to the third store, which is one we're talking about, and it had a ton of great stuff. And we had to put it back because we'd already spent the budget. And so, anyway, lesson learned, probably go there first.
Yeah, it's definitely first. It's our new favorite
Yeah,
for next week
for next week.
until the scenario changes again.
Yeah, which is something, we could talk about at a different time, but I do think that where people will mess up is if you ever say, well, I'll never come back to this place ever again.
Oh, no.
You can't.
Never say never.
You can't say that because I think what ends up happening is one of our favorite stores was a favorite for everybody. And so everybody that Mama was coming, and we were literally, parking lot was full, never used to be a thing in the past. Everybody standing out, waiting in line for them to open up the doors, and it was getting hammered. And so
Like all the carts disappeared.
Oh, yeah, there
One
wasn't-
time we were there.
there was no carts.
The first
And actually,
hour.
we had to get some carts from people that were, done. And so the thing is that eventually people go, oh, well, now when I go there, I ain't going back there next week because they're not going to have anything. Because that's what we said. We won't go back there next week because they didn't have anything.
Yeah.
Well, if everybody does that, then all of a sudden no one's buying anything, and so then you end up having stuff.
Yeah, it's
So
like all the resellers all go in waves to different stores. So where you used to think everybody used to go, they get frustrated with that store and they find someplace else, and then you need to go back to that one.
Well, the funny thing is that I think I saw some of these, there was like at least two groups of women that were,
They were, I don't know if they were resellers, but they were
Yeah,
definitely,
they were definitely
professional thrifters.
yeah, they were looking, and they had seen each other at a previous store, and so they walked into this last one, and but I was like, oh, there you are again. Where are you going next? Oh, well, we are too. And I thought, that's what'll happen is people are in and out 15 minutes. They'll make a decision. They won't look, and they're gone. And that's where we found a bunch of great stuff. So
Yeah.
didn't hurt our feelings that they.
I think they were shopping for women's stuff, so it's always
More power to them.
yeah. Just depends on what you are specialized in, and ours is not women's clothes.
So we had someone, one of the videos said that one of their fears about getting into eBay was shipping and getting scammed. So neither of those were a fear for me. Apparently, Hope was scared of shipping.
I was anxious about it because it's a lot I felt like it was a lot to understand. And I think it does get simpler. I have started working on a video, just a very simple how-to. And so that should be out in the next few days, but
For weeks. No.
no, stop it. So I'm working on that. I didn't worry so much about scams because I know that you are such a cautious businessman. So I knew that you would handle a lot of that. But I think if people are doing this on their own and, I mean, stereotypical, most women, and I'm going to say I am most women, we don't like the confrontation, although, I mean, some of you may. I don't. I don't enjoy it, so I enjoy being able to step back and let you handle it. So I thought it would be good because he's always driving home a lot of these points. I thought it would be good to let you just kind of run with the things that you have implemented in our store to help protect us from scams.
Well, I think the reason why stuff like scams was not a fear of mine is because
You've seen it all?
well, I've been in construction for 40 plus years. And so, there's a lot of scammers in there. And one of the ways that you learn how to protect yourself is that you get burned and you go, I'm not going to let that happen again. And so you start coming up with ways that you defend yourself. And probably, when with construction related, and so this doesn't make any difference if you're the contractor or if you're the homeowner or whatever else, is that you need a good contract. And
Everything's
so
spelled out.
most people do not want to take the time to get a good contract. And so that's, you just, if you don't have time to do a contract, you don't have time to do a renovation job or anything else involved. And that is the make it or break it when it comes to construction, is that you have to write down all the things that you want done, and then you agree on a price, and then both parties sign it. So in that kind of scenario, if the contractor failed to read all the things that were on the list,
That's on him.
that's on him. Or if the homeowner forgot to put something on the list,
And just assumed.
that's on them. And so what I see, and this just comes from my background, and it drives me nuts when people just kind of willy-nilly their eBay
That's
store.
good enough.
It's like, well, what's the bare minimum I got to do? I'm not going to fill out all those things.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's because on other platforms they don't require. I'm amazed at like when we're doing research on an item and we find something on a different platform, how some little information is there about an item and like one photo. How
Yeah.
do you make a decision about an
Well,
item?
and we don't know the other platforms, so we're not going to speak to them, but I get the impression that some of them, they don't even have returns.
Oh yeah,
So, if you have a bad listing, you don't have to worry about the return. But I also hear that, people sell a lot more on eBay, and there's a bunch of questions for a reason. If you don't like answering the questions for the listing,
it's on a different platform.
yeah, don't sell on eBay.
Yeah.
Because most people, if they sell on multiple platforms, they list on eBay, and then they pull from the eBay listing because eBay is going to be the most descriptive about the product. But if you don't take the time to do a proper listing, what I have since Christmas time, and I'm putting as much effort into that as we're putting into new listings, is fixing old listings. And I'm grateful that I've been fixing them and that we didn't get burned somewhere down along the line of item as not described.
Yeah, because there are a lot of mismatched information.
And part of that is because, and this is where I just want to warn people, if you're trying to avoid getting scammed, what you want to do is when you're pulling from a sell similar scenario because you don't know, anything about this item and you want to just copy their deal, well, you better pay attention.
Right.
Because if you don't
It
fix the
pulls in
size,
the size,
or
yeah.
the color or whatever, that just costs you money. So
Mm-hmm.
so don't bother. Because
And you can't assume, well, like, I know initially I was tempted to look at an item and say, I think it may be vintage. So I'd find another listing like it. And if it said it was vintage, then I assumed it was vintage, but they may have been assuming as well. So,
Yeah, and what if it's not vintage?
exactly.
Then you just sold it based on, claiming it was vintage and it's not. And
You
And
get
that-
dinged for it.
yeah, you're going to get dinged for it. So the best way to avoid a scam, being scammed on eBay, is to have a detailed listing. As much as you don't want to take all the pictures, the pictures will cover your rear end. As much as you don't want to answer all the questions, then you're going to get burned. And if you leave anything blank and maybe you just honestly don't know the answer to that question, you better type in unknown. Because then you can say, look, I didn't know.
I didn't make a claim.
I didn't know.
We recently had an item that sold. It was a leather tote, and it was actually something that I had purchased in the past, and I purchased it on Amazon, and so I used the information from the actual purchase, and it was just listed as a leather tote and the other descriptions, dimensions and everything. So someone bought it. I listed it on eBay. Someone bought it, and they messaged us and said, this is not, what did they say? This is not genuine leather.
Genuine
There's not a
leather.
stamp on it. And
Which
I said,
we
I
never
never said it
claimed
was
that.
genuine. I just said it was leather because that's what Amazon had. And I sent her a copy of the screenshot of the listing when I purchased it and said, this is the information I went by. It is leather. I didn't make any promise as to what type of leather. And she responded back with some kind of snarky remark like, I'm sorry you don't know the difference or whatever. But we were able to protect ourselves because we had used information that was documented on Amazon. And I think she said if I had known that, I wouldn't have bought it. So I think she was fishing.
Let's go back to the funny part about that.
Uh-huh.
She was being really ugly to us and saying we don't know the difference. But the pictures that were provided in the listing clearly showed exactly what proves if it's bonded leather or whatever. There was pictures inside out. There was no place where we would have hidden a stamp
Right.
and not taken that picture because everything was pictured. And so this is where you need to be careful about a potential scam here. Sometimes people will say, this is not to my satisfaction. I'm sorry.
I don't like the color.
Yeah, we had one that the brown was a little too burgundy for the pants that they were trying to match, and so they were just being really, 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 really ugly to us. But the color completely matched what was in the photos, and so that was their bad. But going back to this,
The
purse,
listing. Oh, okay.
is that they might have been trying to say, hey, this is not genuine, so like it'd be a shame for me to just send it back. It's a waste of time and money for both of us. So if you just want to kind of give me a discount, blah blah blah. And what most people will do is go, oh, okay. You know what? If that's gonna be your mindset, you don't need to be on eBay.
I do think our first response was, I'm sorry that you're not happy.
Send it back.
Feel free to start a return and send it back. And we never heard anything else after the whole conversation. So
Yeah, I mean,
they didn't
our
return it.
policy, which we'll talk about that a little bit later, but our policy is you feel free to send it back in 30 days. It shouldn't be 30 days. I wish they would say 2 weeks. But anyway, 30 days is the minimum. But if you're sending it back just because you are not happy with it, well, that's your bad, and you're going to pay the shipping to get it back to me. And so a lot of people will argue for doing just like let them ship it back for free because they just want to be from Amazon or whatever. Well, I'm telling you, if you do that, you've just opened up a nightmare for yourself. And you know what? If somebody decides not to buy from us because we don't give free shipping and free returns which includes shipping, then fine.
Well, I think we also protect ourselves too, and I think we have that written down that we document in our listings that are good listings. We document the size of the item, what it says on the tag, what the actual measurements are, and we do include the photos for that. If there's a discrepancy between what the tag says and what it actually measures, we note that. So it's pointed out in the title, it's shown in the photographs, it's shown in the item condition, and we also included in the item description. So is that 4 or 5 different places?
Well, this track, because
Yeah.
we try to put it everywhere, but we didn't used to do that.
Right.
You know, and we've reached out to eBay on multiple times and got multiple answers on how to best cover this scenario.
So we just go overboard.
Yeah, because I think if eBay they ask some what I feel like are just kind of stupid questions, when they should include this. Okay, what does the tag say? What does it actually measure? It's just not that hard to have that part in there, but to be careful, we put this all in there because look, if you don't want to measure a pair of pants, don't list
Don't
pants.
list pants, yeah.
Because what you're going to end up with is the tag said it was a 42 by 30, and these are 32 by 56. And that's an exaggeration. But the point is that the sizes are all over the place. So, the last thing you want is somebody to buy the wrong size.
Right. Because they're coming back if they do.
Because they're going to send them back. But B, you know, the clothes in general are just a mess.
There's no true standard size. And so, man, when it gets to men's blazers, it's even like all the charts are all over the place. So you can basically only come up with a range, like a 40 short sleeve is between this and this. Like there's no really complete standard measurement there.
Yeah, and if you don't want to learn about what does it make a short, what makes it a long, then don't list blazers.
Yeah.
That's why you need to pick your niche, as I say over and over again, because you need to know everything that you need to be able to look at something and go, unless those sleeves have probably been altered.
I'll tell you, my hat is off to everything sellers because you have so much work to do. And if you're protecting yourself, you're doing a lot of research, which can be fun if you enjoy that part. But
yeah,
that's a lot of work.
I think about them. I often think that they may just operate under, if I get the return, I get the return. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm not going to learn because, half the time I see people kind of showing this is what I bought and this is what I sold in there, and one of them's going, "What is this? I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it does." And I personally can't operate like that.
No.
So I stick to,
Stuff you know.
we're still learning. So we've been doing this for a year, and I've been a male buying male clothes for a long time. So
Well, actually, you haven't.
yeah, well,
Your mother bought clothes, and then your wife started buying. You've never enjoyed shopping until now. Why is that? We enjoy doing things for other people.
yeah. The funny thing is, I'm
The cobbler?
I'm not super tempted with some of the stuff that we get. 'Cause
No.
I avoid ties and jackets as much as possible.
We do sell a lot of men's dress clothes, and we don't wear that very often. I mean, we don't. You don't wear that very often, but you
Right.
appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate a good.
So I think it's important for you to be able to appreciate the items that you're selling.
Well, so going back to
Going back to our list. So
step one is making a really good listing, and the more that you do it, and the more that you focus in on, say, a particular item niche, then you start to get the templates. I would highly recommend getting away from the sell similars, unless you're going to really, if you're not easily distracted, and that you can super focus on going through one thing at a time to make sure this matches your item. So we reached a point where we're like,
I
I'm
don't-
changing more than if I just made a template and just made my own listing,
Yeah.
then I would be better off.
Well, and if you use your own template, then your business policies, which I think you have on the list, your business policies are going to be in that listing. And that's what you really need to make sure that the shipping is what your standard policy is, the return policy is what yours is.
Yeah, the return policy, I mean, we spent quite maybe a month or two just fixing, and so far
We're not,
we
we worked on, we didn't fix it, we
Yeah,
worked on
well,
it.
It's gotten, the return policy has gotten pretty good now. And so, because if you're not paying attention when you're doing a sell similar, you might end up with
Somebody
having
else's.
somebody else's policy, like no return, and that's not who we are either. But the part that I have been working on since Christmas time is the shipping.
Right.
And still, we talked about it this morning when we first started off, and so I'm not going to steal Hope's thunder about whenever she talks about the shipping deal, but there was different things, like if you I bought, I don't know, 5 or 6 of these little stands that would charge an Apple Watch and that kind of stuff. Well, you want to be able to do where you make one listing, but someone could buy 3
Multiple
of them.
items.
They could buy one. It's a different shipping policy. And that might be something you do a separate video on.
Yeah, because that's not basic.
Yeah, it's not super simple.
It took us a while to figure that one out.
But, because of grabbing other people's stuff and running through, clicking the boxes and everything, we ended up with a bunch of stuff that had the wrong shipping policy on it.
And we also changed our shipping
And we
policy.
changed our shipping policy. So, the other part of it is we went from, I don't know, did we start off at 2 days and then 1 day and then the same day?
I
can't
think we
remember.
started off with 1 day because we were concerned, we felt like we could do 1 day. But we were concerned that if we tried to do faster than that we might not be able to maintain that and it would be a struggle. So
We kept it that way for quite a while.
yeah, I would say probably 3 or 4 months. And then we realized, okay, we were definitely able to handle getting the order, and then we set a daily deadline of 2 p.m. So any sales that we make that get processed, the payment gets processed before 2 p.m., we will ship it out the same day because around 2 o'clock is when we stop and we do our shipping for the day.
Yeah, and so, I don't know, sometimes we contemplate changing that time, but right now we got so many that we're still trying to fix to get on to that method, which...
Wait, that shipping policy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, if we get everything eventually moved over to same day, and it's the right pricing and everything, like might go from top seller to top seller plus or whatever that means. And so, but we still got, I anticipate it's going to take me another 2 months to get the rest of these so that we've got them all shifted over and straightened out. So anyway, that's shipping. So
Yeah.
talk about that later. So the other thing that we would highly recommend is a little less of an issue now, but I think it was probably more of an issue for people back, in the day, is that you need to keep everything on eBay. You're paying for eBay to help you out. And so
But you got to help them help you.
yeah, and so if you get tempted because somebody saw, hey, I see that you are, in the town down the road from me.
You're in Alabama.
And we can avoid all those eBay fees, and you can just take it off, and then I'll meet you down at the Walmart parking lot, and that's where you're going to get scammed.
Uh-huh.
So, for us, we chose not to sell on Facebook because we didn't want to do the thing where somebody wants to meet down at Walmart, and then you sit down at Walmart forever, and they never show up. I experienced this one time. We were rescuing a livestock guardian dog from another family, and I went an hour's drive and sat in a parking lot 3 times before I finally came home. So last thing I want to do...
But we have the dog now.
Yeah, and now we need to give it back to him. No, I'm just kidding.
He's a sweetie.
You need to keep everything, all your communication needs to stay. Don't switch to a text message or, Facebook Messenger or email
Yeah.
or phone calls. Don't give anybody out your information. Part of what you're
No.
paying for is the barrier between you and the buyer. And so keep all your payments there. And then if they start monkeying around with stuff, so I'm trying to think of some of the examples. We brought up the whole woman wasn't happy with the bag when she got it, and she was obviously fishing for, some kind of discount. We had a guy who, in that scenario, the jeans just didn't fit him like he wanted them to fit. Of course, that's the jeans' fault. But no, it's my fault actually.
Yeah.
That they don't. Maybe
They don't fit him the way
maybe
they
he had eaten too many Oreos, and now they don't fit anymore that size. Or maybe he doesn't know his size. But either way, he was really playing the game. We had somebody who bought a jacket from us, and they were like, "Oh well, this is normally my size, and this normally fits me." But this doesn't. So if you want to send me money for an alteration,
I'll just keep the jacket.
I'll just keep the jacket. I'm like, no, you can just decide to keep the jacket, or you can send it back, and I'll refund the cost of the jacket, but not the shipping. But you prepare yourself, because it wasn't cheap for me to ship it to you. So the list is super long, and that's why anytime somebody starts hitting around about, just be easier for you and me.
There's an ambulance driving by, and all of the dogs. If you can hear that.
Yeah, I'm resisting all temptation to join, and normally I join in and howl.
Anyway,
So
stick to your guns on your return policy.
I mean, pick your return policy. For us, we're not. I don't foresee me ever saying free shipping. You can return it, and I'll pay for the shipping to send it back. I'm probably, as much as I tell you, you sell more doing that. I don't need the headaches.
No.
I don't want to get the frustration of why in the world did they buy this and turn around and send it back to me. There's nothing wrong with this. Oh, they bought it for a Halloween costume, and now Halloween's over.
Which brings up another point. If you do sell holiday items, you may want to consider making that a no returns.
That's a no return.
Because we've heard numerous cases of people selling a Halloween costume or a holiday item that someone got just before the holiday. They kept it, they used it for the holiday, and then returned it the very next day after the holiday. So
you might hear people talk about, I think somebody just rented my item. We had a pair of distressed jeans outside of our wheelhouse. We don't know what to call them half the time, but anyway, it had more holes than material, and they bought them and they kept them for a while, and then they returned them, and they clearly bought them and partied in them for a little while.
month.
And they were so smoke stained or whatever, like we couldn't resell them like that.
We soaked them for a solid week in vinegar water to get rid of the smoke smell.
That was just step one in the process.
Yeah.
So there is,
Don't let people rent your items.
you need to stay on platform. Whatever it is, once they start, you might get tempted because you might think, oh, if I could save the eBay fees, whatever. You know what? The frustration, gas money, time spent, whatever, not worth, especially when you get scammed and you end up. So that's where I think you had heard about people phishing and trying to ask for personal information. kind of
Right.
stuff.
Be careful of any information that you give out. I think but this does make me a little bit nervous, because in order to get help, one of the sources of help out there is an eBay Facebook group. And you can get in the chat and explain that you have a problem, and they will ask you to authenticate your account. So that allows them to see it and that just makes me nervous because it's off platform. I don't like to use that because I don't know who the other person is on the other line. What if eBay's account is hacked, their Facebook account? Because I mean, people get their accounts hacked all the time, and if somebody's in there and getting information from people, so anyway, that's just my brain being Michael Stevens.
Yeah.
But it does make me nervous.
Yeah. If they just start asking a lot of personal stuff, like you need to avoid that.
Yeah.
It doesn't make a difference if it's eBay or anything else,
Well, I've heard that people get like text messages or something claiming that they are from eBay and they're trying to work out an issue. And so if you ever get anything like that and they start asking you for login information or anything like that, that's a major red flag.
Yeah. So kind of going back to the whole making a good listing, one of the big deals is describing your item correctly. So either it is as described or it's not, one of the two. And if it is actually as described, then you're going to have to put your foot down and say, this is exactly like the listing. If you're not happy with this, feel free to send it back to us, but we will not cover the shipping. We're only going to, whatever your policy.
Refund the item amount.
Whatever your deal is. But if you messed up, and
we do sometimes.
yeah, and you put the wrong size in there, or failed to catch that they've been altered in some way, or form, or fashion. We're specifically talking about clothes. Then that's my bad, and so I have to own it and say that you're right. You're completely correct. The tag does say this, but it has been altered. When I took the dimensions, I should have known. Either that, or I should have put a disclaimer in the notes saying
Some items may be altered.
which is why you need to, take pictures and measure everything, but then you need to have some verbiage in your description to cover yourself in case there's just something like, I don't know what this is, what's supposed to be, whatever. Well, you know what? That gets back to maybe you shouldn't be selling those things. Either you need to learn how to figure that out, or you need to shift to a different kind of category.
Maybe.
But the whichever way it falls, you need to stand firm on your policy, because I'm pretty convinced that if the word gets out, hey, this store, if you say this, they'll cave real quick. Then all of a sudden you're going to get person after person after person doing the same thing to you. But if you stand your ground, knowing, well, it's going to cost me a sale, or it's going to cost me a sale and shipping, and I might get a bad review because they are completely allowed to say whatever they want to say about the purchase and don't expect eBay to do anything about it.
Interesting, though, that you can't give a buyer a negative review.
Yeah, well, we're not going there.
We're not.
We're talking about scams. So, but don't do the partial refund. You start something, and once you start something like that, I mean, I've had this experience. It doesn't make any difference if I'm working with a specific contractor. If I ever said, you know what, I'll just eat this one and let's get it done kind of deal.
Then they push for more.
Then next time it's that plus, and then it's that plus, and it just gets worse and worse. So anyway, we talked about shipping going through eBay.
Actually, we didn't talk about that.
Oh, well, yeah, you need to bring up just briefly. Don't
Yeah.
spoil your other deal, but
Well, first of all, there are a lot of different ways to ship an item, and you can go outside of eBay and purchase or ship with, I don't remember the other companies, but I've heard that there are some other companies that they claim they get a better deal with. But if you are purchasing your shipping through eBay, then eBay has the tracking record or the tracking number. They know when you've prepared that shipping, and so that information is on the platform. You don't have to go back and enter it in. And so they also will see if an item has been delivered. Another thing that we found too is that sometimes there may be an issue where you've prepared the item, you take it to the post office, you leave it, or maybe you have the post office pick up the packages. We don't do that, just again, because we want to protect ourselves and we want to know that every item is shipped. So we take it into the post office and watch every single package be scanned. And even contrary to some clerks' opinion, we insist on a paper receipt so that eBay has a copy of what that tracking number is. We have a paper copy saying that we have turned it in, it's been scanned in, we know it is, and then we can follow it. But without that, if something happened to it at the post office and it falls off a table or something and gets lost, you have no way of proving that you actually took it to the post office.
Yeah, and we haven't had to use this before, but there's a warranty too when you're doing ground advantage, and so you want to have that. We were catching a lot of flack at the post office because some other eBay sellers were coming in, and there was this little section off to the left
Yeah,
where nobody
little counter
sits by,
space.
and people just dump their stuff off and walk out because they didn't want to stand in line. Well, who knows if it got scanned or not?
Yeah.
And for us, we ran into the situation where we would come in with, say, 10 packages, and they would lay one on the scale, and then they would just use the gun to go through all these other ones, and we got burned.
Yeah,
on
do
that.
not let them, because some clerks may not realize this, because you have paid for the postage for whatever amount you said that item weighed. But if they don't put it on the scale and scan it,
Each one's
then,
individually.
individually, then the weights get mixed up. And so there may be a 1 pound package sitting on the scale, and you have a 8-ounce package and that they scan. That 1 pound gets put on that, and then you'll get charged for it. So we had multiple charges in both directions. We got some credits back, we got upcharged, and we couldn't figure out what was going on until we went back and realized what they had been doing. We had questioned a clerk about
It was
it.
not a comfortable conversation.
It was not, and one clerk told us she wasn't aware. And then another clerk kind of argued about it, and then went back and found out that I was actually right. And so, I mean,
She
it's
did
been a good.
apologize, so-
She did, yeah, she did apologize, and I mean, if I didn't have to scan every single thing, I would take the shortcut too, probably. But do protect yourself. Watch them put the item on the scale, scan it, and do it for every single item that you
I'd
take.
reached a point where I wouldn't, because we would take them in like a shopping bag. I would only give them one at a time, and then wait for them to complete the transaction. Then I would give them another one. So we don't have that problem anymore, and we haven't had any.
No,
But
no back charges in a couple months. So.
Yeah. So obviously, you want to be careful if you start getting like feedback extortion. We have kind of sort of had some people allude to this. Sometimes they would say, if you do this, I'm gonna give you a positive feedback regardless of blah blah blah. Well, as soon as they start talking about what kind of feedback they're going to give you, then you need to your little antenna should go up.
Yeah.
Because they're up to something. And I don't know, we've had one where we went out of our way. I still think we potentially got scammed and got sent back the wrong shirt. Irregardless, we agreed to refund the shipping on this one. And as soon as they got the shipping refund, they gave us a bad review. So not much we can do about that. But if you make sure that you keep all communication on the eBay platform, you can call them out, and eBay will look at that, and they will do something about it. So,
Yeah.
well, they said it.
But I think the other thing too is that we have to go, okay, that frustrates us, but they leave the feedback they want to leave. We can respond to it, but is it really worth it?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah. Just let's move on.
move on. So we've had this happen different ways, but people have tried to change their shipping address.
For different reasons.
For different reasons. And so Gratefully, we had heard someone mention something about whatever you do, don't stick to whatever eBay says to ship it. That's where you need to ship it. And we buy our stuff through eBay, so that's the address that's on the label anyway. I don't even know if it's possible to change it.
I do think you can change it, but
We've told people on more than one occasion, if you don't want it shipped to this address,
let's cancel it.
we need to cancel it. You need to fix eBay on your side, and then you need to repurchase it. And we did that at least twice that I can remember. And so gratefully we didn't get burned. And I don't think they were up to anything nefarious. They just were trying to they were buying it for a son. They didn't want to ship it to themselves. They want to ship it to their son, which we were fine with, but that, eBay doesn't really work that way.
Well, yeah, we just don't have the protection for ourselves.
So you want that protection, but we did have someone who, after they fixed their shipping address, gave us the wrong one, and we were shipping that one through FedEx. And after everything was said and done, he'd given eBay the wrong address. FedEx had to chase him down. They got it to him, but they sent us a back charge of an extra $20. We could have fought that. He probably would have paid us for it.
He probably would have.
He gave us the best review we've got on the whole store, so
that was a
it.
special
Yeah,
situation.
it was worth the $20. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we talked about having a solid return policy. Take the time to read about the return policies.
Right.
Think about it. Decide, hey, if I'm going to do free shipping, free returns, it doesn't make a difference. Send it back. I don't care. I'll pay for all of that. Remember that you are going to get burned a bunch of times.
Right. Because if you do free shipping, now people will do it to get more sales, but if you do free shipping and you have a return, you have paid to ship that item there
And back.
So you've just become their personal shopper.
And if it's like a
earned
$15,
nothing.
If it's a $15 item, then you've been better off probably to just say keep it.
Don't keep it. Yep.
So make sure that you do this. Now here's one thing that we do. I don't think we really had to use it completely. We might have used some photos. I don't remember for sure, but we do this every time we get a return. So often eBay will say, hey, they've started a return. You can go ahead and refund them right now if you want to. No, not happening. And so we will wait, and all of our stuff comes back to a P.O. box at the post office. So as soon as the post office scans it in that morning, 6:30, 7 a.m.,
we get another
we
email.
get a notification. All right, send them a refund. Send them a refund. Well, we haven't gone to the post office. It's not going to go till after 2. And so when we get it, we bring it home, and we start a video. So grab the phone. We haven't touched it. We haven't opened it. It's straight out of the post office. We lay it down. We start a video and don't turn it off. And you want to show the package, flip it over. You can see, look how poorly, this got sent back. Somebody jammed all this in, tried to reuse packaging, blah, blah, blah. Then you want to be careful how you open it, because when they do it the way that they've done some of these things, if you're not careful,
so much tape on it.
I might damage it, so I have to be really careful. But I still don't turn the camera off because it's one continuous video. And then I'll open it up and I'll lay it out and I'll look for any flaws. I'll make sure that we document tags again. Did they send me back my shirt? Because maybe they bought one shirt from somebody and they bought a small and they needed a medium. So they bought a medium for me and send me back a small. Well, if you're in a hurry, it's the same shirt. And you might get burned. And so continuous, and then we have to go back and look at our listing and make sure that this is exactly the same
item.
one. And not until after I've done all of that do I sit down and do the return. And then they'll get it after that.
But we do process the returns the day we get it back. So we don't delay in that. I have heard some people say, like, if they have returns, they toss them all aside and then they process a bunch of them at one time.
Yeah, I mean, supposedly we get a couple days, but we're not dragging it out. I mean, as soon as we get it home, we're going to process it. But some people, if you didn't video it, you just took pictures.
Right.
Well, maybe you got a brick. Someone mailed you a brick back or a rock, and how are you going to prove that when you opened it up, you didn't take your item out and lay a rock there? So
Yeah.
if you do a video, this is a continuous, it's time stamped, everything else is on there. Like when we opened it, look at here, look what I just found, kind of deal.
Right.
So praise the Lord, we haven't had anybody send a rock back for a shirt, but
But yeah, we haven't had that. But if we were to not video it, that'd be the time that we needed it.
yeah, the one time when we're like,
Let's just
just do it.
take a shortcut.
Yeah.
We're pressed for time.
Yeah. So we already talked about the Halloween thing, but in general, you know, for holidays, if it's a holiday item, maybe it's a Christmas tie, or
I was about to say a holiday tie.
or well, those ugly sweaters or whatever.
Yeah,
kind of
ugly
deal.
Christmas
You know,
sweaters.
you might want to choose those for.
Who wants to keep that in their wardrobe?
Yeah, so they're going to use it and sit in the back. So, and I think you talked about the positive feedback anyway. So,
Yeah.
in general, the biggest deal is that you want to know that you need to do everything you can do to prevent somebody from scamming you,
Right.
and eventually, it's going to happen. And you know, just be prepared for that, and don't let it be the end of the world. But you can avoid it being a common occurrence if you will take the time to do all the steps.
I will say, because we do all the steps and we do document everything fully, even in situations where it hasn't been an issue of a scam, but we get feedback often where someone says, item was even better than described, or item was exactly as described.
Or we got it super fast, or it was professionally packed. And those are the things
Whatever.
that you want people to look down and see that one comment and go, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think that all the information being there makes for a happier customer, better feedback, and better sales because they are making an informed decision. You know, there are going to be scammers in the world, and they're going to prey and you know, exploit the fact that we want good feedback, we want happy customers, and you know, and that we're trusting them, you know. So try not to let people exploit that, but then know that it is going to happen sometimes. The world is not perfect, so we can't just let that eat us up. We can just do our best, as George Washington said. The best defense is a good offense. He was not talking about sports, and I always thought that came from that was a sports term, but being completely thorough, being protective in the policies that you set, and being dogmatic about sticking to them.
Yeah. Well, I definitely, I drive people nuts with the process that I go through, but.
And
you know,
documentation.
And people, you know, including my family, get, you know, totally over why in
Yeah.
the world are we having to do all these steps? But there's reason. You know, I didn't like wake up one day and know all this stuff. I learned it the hard way. And I've had to take it on the chin a couple times. But, you know, the longer you go down this road, like if this is a fear of yours, well, the only way you get better and it's less of a fear is that you just keep doing it.
And you get more confidence and you're thicker skinned.
Yeah, I mean, I laugh in thinking about, you know, someone being afraid of that, and that's wrong on my behalf, but I spent 40 years yelling at contractors. So
He's not kidding.
I'm not kidding. And so
It's hard to turn that off when you come home.
funny thing is, I mastered the skill of putting my arm around somebody's shoulder and kicking them in the butt at the same time, and then we go play golf afterwards. Not a fancy golf course, but a cheap one.
Yeah.
So all that to say is that don't let it be a fear to prevent you from doing it. If it is a major concern, I would pick something that you're very familiar with. Stick to that for a while. Learn all the ropes, all the things that, you know, oh, I won't do that next time. I need to get better information about this. I need to know what that number means, what that style really is. I don't need to go by my gut and think this is vintage when it's not. You're better off just saying, I don't know. You know, if that's the case, whatever the question is, if you don't know for sure, if you can't document it from,
Don't guess.
don't guess.
Yeah.
Don't hope. You know, just know.
Wait, is that a verb or or did I become a verb?
I didn't say don't be hope. I just said don't hope, don't hope you're right.
Yeah. So I do hope that that has given you a little bit of ammunition, some things to think about, some ways to protect yourself, and that it's been helpful because it was helpful for us to make the list and write everything down and
Yeah,
remind
in fact,
ourselves.
If you've been scammed in a different way, we want to know because you know we want
Scampers they get pretty creative. So
Yeah.
there are a lot of things we don't want to give anybody suggestions, but if you have some tips or some experiences that you would like to share with some other people, things to watch out for, put it in the comments below or share it with us somehow. We're all about making this community helpful for all of us who are on this journey together. And the only way we improve is by sharing the experiences.
to exactly.
So,
So, well, I need to go handle all these offers I'm getting.
yeah, God, it has been so good.
Yep. Keeping me distracted over here.
Yeah. Cha-Chings sound great, but the next best thing is when your phone is on silence and it's just vibrating on the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we need to,
Yeah.
to go get ready to do our shipping, which we're not concerned about. We've done this quite a bit.
Yeah.
And so look forward to Hope's video on that and any other things that y'all would like to hear us talk about. The list is very long, so we'd rather prioritize it on things that people really are struggling with.
Right. So if, like you said, if there's a topic that you would like to discuss, throw it in the comments below, and that will help us with topics for future lives or future videos. And
Yeah,
Yes.
we're just, you know, if you're interested in a virtual get together, we're going to be doing that.
we've got to set the date.
Yeah,
So it's going to
soon.
be in roughly 3 weeks. So if you are interested in being in a live, this will be a Zoom virtual, completely free, you know, no charge or anything, but be able to have some conversation back and forth. Let us know when is a good time for you to do a Zoom. We're thinking either a Tuesday or a Thursday night. So if any of those 2 days sound good, or if maybe a Saturday morning sounds better, let us know in the comments below, and we will aim for trying to do the most convenient thing for the
Yeah.
majority of people.
Yeah, and hope to meet some people on Zoom virtually.
All right. Well, we will catch you guys on the next one.
Still need to learn what these others.